thought I was dead? Nah, man, I've been chilling with Big Sherry out in Undercliff.
No way.
Way. And now I'm off to try Shimla's. Heard that chicken down is serious.
That's wild,
Come roll if you want.
Pac been allegedly spotted feeding birds in a 2024 American park, distributing aid in war-torn Somalia, and vibing out carefree in an Alabama restaurant, all years after his death. These ain't random sightings, real talk. Each location tells a different story about survival, purpose, and reinvention. One of these pieces of footage contains evidence that even the hardest skeptics can't easily dismiss. The Cuba parking lot encounter, 2004. Yo, we about to kick this whole thing off in the island heat of Havana, Cuba, back in 2004, a whole 8 years after Pac was supposedly laid to rest in a private ceremony that most folks never even got to witness. The footage we talking about is straight up old school, grainy as hell, shaky like your homie's hands after too many energy drinks, and lacking all that crystal clear HD quality that we all been spoiled with in today's smartphone era. The scene allegedly captured shows what looks like your typical hood gathering going down in what appears to be some random parking lot somewhere in the Cuban capital. Several cats are just posted up, chopping it up about whatever, the kind of laid-back block party vibe that happens in the streets all around the world every single day. But there's one particular homie in this circle who's got conspiracy heads, and Tupac stands worldwide going absolutely crazy, and they swear up and down they got good reasons for it. The dude in question, according to cats who done studied this footage frame by frame like it's the Zapruder film, bears a striking and straight-up eerie resemblance to Tupac Amaru Shakur himself. His build, his swagger, his whole aura, and even the way he carries himself all seem to channel the legendary rapper's unmistakable presence. At one particularly crucial moment in the video, this mysterious figure glances dead at the camera, giving viewers what believers claim is an undeniable look at facial features that match Pac's iconic mug. Now, you probably sitting there asking yourself, why the hell Cuba though? Well, the choice of location ain't random at all when you really break it down. Cuba holds major significance in Tupac's family tree and personal narrative. Straight up, his stepfather, Mutulu Shakur, was a revolutionary activist who bounced to Cuba after being accused of involvement in some heavy political activities back in the States. Assata Shakur, Pac's godmother, and a former Black Liberation Army soldier, famously escaped from prison and got granted political asylum in Cuba, where she'd been living for decades under the protection of the Cuban government. Given these deep family ties to the island nation, conspiracy heads argue that Cuba would be the perfect spot for Tupac to post up, find protection, and build a whole new life away from all the heat and pressure that was following him in America. The theory gets even more weight when you think about Cuba's historically tense relationship with the US government, especially during that time period we talking about. Believers in this footage point to all these facts as proof that what we seeing ain't just some random Tupac doppelganger, but the real deal living out his days in peaceful exile, protected by family connections and political arrangements that would keep him from being discovered or dragged back to the United States. But Cuba was just the beginning of this worldwide wild goose chase. The trail goes cold for a minute, then suddenly heats back up thousands of miles away in the streets of Europe. The Amsterdam Music video appearance, 2006. Moving forward in time to 2006 and jumping across the Atlantic Ocean to the Netherlands, we run into what's probably one of the most professionally shot pieces of alleged evidence in our whole collection today. No cap. This particular sighting don't come from some shaky amateur footage or accidental tourist videos, but straight from an official music video production by a Dutch rap cat who goes by the name Chillo. The music video we talking about is called Amsterdam to LA, and it's shot in this cold black and white aesthetic that gives the whole production a gritty underground feel that was popping off in European hip-hop circles during that era. The video got all the standard elements you'd expect from a mid-2000s rap video. Urban landscapes, crews of people posted on street corners, artistic camera angles, and that overall authentic street vibe that underground artists stay trying to capture in their visual presentations. But yo, it's what appears in the background of certain frames that's got this particular video generating massive buzz and wild speculation among the Tupac conspiracy community. For brief moments throughout the video, a figure that looks dead on like Tupac Shakur can be spotted moving through the scenes, almost like he intentionally trying to stay in the peripheral vision of the camera rather than front and center. The appearance is subtle enough to seem accidental, yet distinct enough that cats looking for it can clearly make out the features that they swear match the deceased rapper. What takes this particular piece of footage from straight speculation to something that true believers consider more solid evidence is the fact that Chillo himself later spoke on the sighting in various interviews, where he made statements that mad people interpreted as confirmation that Tupac was indeed present during the filming of the video. Now, the artist's comments was definitely ambiguous enough to maintain plausible deniability. He never explicitly said, "Yo, that's definitely Tupac Shakur in my music video." But he also didn't deny it, and his knowing smirks and cryptic responses during these interviews only served to add more fuel to the fire of speculation. The Netherlands connection is particularly interesting when you think about Amsterdam's reputation as a liberal, open-minded city with a long history of providing refuge to artists, activists, and cats seeking to escape various forms of persecution or unwanted attention from authorities. The city's progressive attitudes, combined with its thriving hip-hop scene and strong connections to American rap culture, would theoretically make it a believable location for Tupac to make a low-key appearance if he was indeed still breathing. Conspiracy theorists point to this as evidence that Tupac might have been moving through various European spots, possibly collaborating with underground artists and maintaining some connection to the music industry that made him a legend, but doing so in a way that allowed him to remain officially dead and therefore safe from all the threats that had his life in danger before 1996. While Europe seemed to offer Pac anonymity and artistic freedom, the next sighting suggests he might have been taking much bolder risks back on American soil. The Lil Wayne concert sighting, 2009. Fast forwarding to 2009 and getting back to American soil, we find ourselves in Dallas, Texas, at what was supposed to be just another regular stop on Lil Wayne's massively successful I Am Music tour. The concert was your typical high-energy rap show, with thousands of fans packed into the venue like sardines, their cell phones held high to capture videos and flicks of their favorite artist performing on stage. But according to conspiracy theorists and mad eyewitnesses who was present that night, something absolutely extraordinary went down in the crowd, something that would be captured on multiple phones and would later go viral across the whole internet. The footage in question, recorded by some anonymous concert goer on what looks like an early smartphone, shows the typical chaotic scene you'd expect from a packed hip-hop concert. The camera shaking like crazy, the lighting is terrible, and there's a general sense of controlled chaos as bodies pressing together and everybody trying to get a better view of the stage. But then, something unusual starts to unfold right before the camera lens. A figure starts to make his way through the dense crowd, and as he moves, several people near him start reacting with straight shock and excitement. The cat in the footage appears to be trying to navigate through the sea of concert goers without drawing too much attention to himself, but his distinctive appearance and whole demeanor already caught the eye of several fans in his immediate vicinity. What happens next is what's made this particular piece of footage so compelling to believers. Real talk. You can clearly hear multiple voices in the background shouting "Tupac, Tupac," with a mixture of disbelief, excitement, and genuine shock in their voices. The camera desperately tries to keep the mysterious figure in frame as he continues to move through the crowd, occasionally turning his head in ways that give those watching brief glimpses of his facial profile. Now, skeptics been quick to point out that in the dark, chaotic environment of a concert venue, combined with the poor quality of early smartphone cameras and the general excitement and possibly intoxicated state of concert goers, it would be incredibly easy to mistake a lookalike for the real thing, or even to see what you want to see in grainy footage. However, believers counter this argument by pointing to the multiple independent witnesses who claim to have peeped this same individual at the concert, the genuine shock and surprise in the voices of those shouting Tupac's name, and the fact that the figure does seem to bear a remarkable resemblance to what an older Tupac might look like if he had indeed survived past 1996. From blending into American crowds, the trail takes an unexpected turn to the cold streets of Scandinavia, where Pac allegedly returned to what made him famous. The Swedish diss track video, 2012. Our investigation now takes us to the cold urban landscapes of Stockholm, Sweden in the year 2012, a time and place that seems worlds away from the sunny streets of California, where Tupac made his name and built his legend. The footage that emerged from this Scandinavian location is unique among our collection because unlike the other sightings which supposedly showed Tupac going about normal life activities or appearing in the background of other events, this particular video allegedly shows him actually spitting bars, engaging in the very art form that made him one of the most influential cultural figures of his generation. The video itself is, like many of the pieces of evidence we done examined, of decidedly low quality. It shows a figure dressed in a dark hoodie, face partially obscured, performing what sounds like a diss track, with aggressive lyrics aimed at unnamed rivals in the rap game. The setting appears to be somewhere in Stockholm's urban environment, with the distinctive architecture and gray skies of Northern Europe visible in the background shots. The quality of the video is poor enough to make definitive identification nearly impossible, yet clear enough for those who want to believe to pick out familiar features. The shape of the jaw, the intensity of the delivery, the distinctive hand gestures that Tupac was famous for during his performances. The choice of Sweden as a location is fascinating from a conspiracy theory perspective, straight up, because it represents a dramatic departure from the more commonly suggested hiding places like Cuba, Mexico, or other locations with which Tupac had more obvious connections. However, believers in this particular sighting point to several factors that make Scandinavia a plausible refuge for the homie. The region is known for its progressive social policies, strong privacy laws, excellent healthcare systems, and generally low crime rates, all factors that would make it an attractive destination for someone looking to disappear and start a whole new life. Additionally, Sweden has a surprisingly vibrant hip-hop scene and a long history of appreciating and embracing American rap culture, which could theoretically allow Tupac to remain connected to the music he loved while staying off the radar of American authorities and media. But if Sweden represented Pac returning to his artistic roots, the next sighting put him center stage at one of America's most popular sporting events. The Celtics game broadcast, 2014. In 2014, during what should have been just another regular season NBA game between the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors, something caught on the broadcast camera that would send conspiracy theorists into an absolute frenzy and generate thousands of social media posts, video analyses, and heated debates across internet forums worldwide. The footage comes not from some amateur recording or a grainy cell phone video, but from professional broadcast cameras operated by experienced camera operators, a fact that lends it a certain credibility that some of the other sightings straight up lack. During the game, the broadcast cameras were doing what they typically do during breaks in play, panning across the crowd to capture fan reactions, interesting characters in attendance, and celebrities who might be watching the game courtside. It's standard operating procedure for televised sporting events, and usually nothing particularly noteworthy comes from these crowd shots. But on this particular evening, when the camera operator zoomed in on a particular section of the stands, what appeared on screens across the nation caused an immediate and dramatic reaction, both in the arena and among viewers watching at home. The camera focused on a cat sitting among the regular ticket holders, and the resemblance to Tupac Shakur was striking enough that you can actually hear the crowd's reaction in the broadcast audio, a wave of surprised exclamations and even some cheers as people recognized the resemblance. The individual in question appeared to be an older version of the rapper, which is exactly what you'd expect if Tupac had indeed survived and aged 18 years since his supposed death in 1996. The facial features, the distinctive facial structure, even the way he carried himself, all of it seemed to match what fans imagined an older Tupac might look like. What makes this particular sighting especially intriguing to believers is the context and the implications. Real talk. This wasn't footage from some remote location in a foreign country where verification would be difficult. This was a major American sporting event, broadcast live on national television, taking place in one of America's most prominent cities. The individual was sitting in regular seats, not hiding in the shadows or trying to avoid attention. This kind of brazen public appearance, if it was indeed Tupac, would represent either incredible confidence in his ability to hide in plain sight or a calculated decision to test the waters and see how people would react to such a sighting. Conspiracy theorists have pointed out that Boston would actually make sense as a location for Tupac to visit if he was alive. The city has a vibrant cultural scene, excellent medical facilities, and is far removed from the West Coast hip-hop scene that had become so dangerous for him. Additionally, Boston's reputation as a city where people generally mind their own business and respect privacy could theoretically allow a celebrity to move around with relative freedom. The fact that this sighting occurred at an NBA game is also significant to believers, as Tupac was known to be a passionate basketball fan during his life, and attending such games would be exactly the kind of normal activity someone might engage in if they were trying to live a regular life away from the spotlight. After this bold public appearance in Beantown, Pac allegedly took his movements down south to the most unexpected of places, the Alabama restaurant encounter, 2018. As we move deeper into the modern era of smartphone technology and high-quality video recording capabilities, our next alleged sighting takes us to Montgomery, Alabama in 2018, 22 whole years after Tupac's official death. The setting for this particular piece of footage is refreshingly mundane. A local restaurant, the kind of neighborhood spot where families gather for meals, homies meet for casual dining, and life moves at a slower, more relaxed pace than in the major metropolitan areas where Tupac spent most of his career. The video, captured by somebody's phone camera during what appears to be a typical evening at the establishment, initially seems to be recording something entirely unrelated to any Tupac sightings, perhaps just documenting the atmosphere, the food, or the company. But in the background of the shot, eagle-eyed viewers notice something that would soon cause this seemingly innocent video to go viral across social media platforms dedicated to Tupac conspiracy theories. There, in the background of the frame, a hooded figure can be seen grooving to music, displaying a distinctive style of dancing and body language that believers claim is unmistakably similar to Tupac's characteristic movements. The cat's build appears to match what an older Tupac might look like, and during brief moments when he turns toward the camera, conspiracy theorists insist that his facial profile reveals features consistent with the late rapper's appearance. What makes this sighting particularly compelling to believers is how natural and unguarded the moment appears. This ain't someone posing for a camera or trying to impersonate Tupac. It's simply someone enjoying music and having a good time, completely unaware that they being recorded. The theory goes that Tupac might have been drawn to such locations because of their cultural and historical significance, finding a sense of purpose and connection in places that represent the ongoing struggle for equality that he often rapped about during his career. From the quiet streets of Alabama, the manhunt goes international again, this time to the tropical paradise of Central America. The Belize street footage, 2019. Our journey now takes us south of the United States border to the Central American nation of Belize, where in 2019, a full 23 years after Tupac's supposed death, yet another piece of compelling footage emerged that would add more fuel to the fire of conspiracy theories. Belize City, with its unique blend of Caribbean culture, Latin American influence, and English-speaking population, might seem like an unlikely place for a Tupac sighting, but as we bout to explore, it actually makes a certain amount of strategic sense when you consider the characteristics that would make it attractive to someone trying to disappear from the world. The footage in question appears to have been captured by a tourist walking through one of Belize City's bustling market areas, a kind of colorful, vibrant street scene that travelers love to document during their visits to exotic locations. The camera pans across vendors selling their wares, locals going about their daily business, and the general organized chaos that characterizes busy market streets throughout Central America. But then, moving through this scene, a particular figure catches the attention of conspiracy theorists who have analyzed this footage frame by frame. The cat in question is wearing sunglasses and a bandana, a style choice that happens to be reminiscent of Tupac's iconic look during his prime years in the music industry. But it ain't just the clothing that has believers convinced, it's the way he carries himself, his distinctive gait as he walks through the market streets, the manner in which he chops it up with local vendors, and those brief moments when his body language and gestures seem to echo the mannerisms that made Tupac such a magnetic presence on stage and in videos. Believers point to all of these factors as evidence that this footage shows Tupac living a quiet life in Central America, integrating himself into the local community while maintaining a low profile that allows him to go about his daily business without constant recognition or harassment. But while Belize suggested a peaceful exile, the next piece of evidence came from someone with direct ties to that fateful night in Vegas. The Suge Knight GR Proof Video 2020. In 2020, the Tupac conspiracy theory world got absolutely rocked by what appeared to be a bombshell piece of evidence coming from someone with direct connections to the events surrounding Tupac's death. Suge Knight Jr., the son of Marion Suge Knight, the infamous Death Row Records CEO who was pushing the whip when Tupac was shot in 1996, posted a video on social media that appeared to show a figure resembling an aged Tupac Shakur sitting in what looks like a luxury vehicle, bobbing his head and rapping along to classic Tupac tracks playing on the car's sound system. The video sent shockwaves through social media platforms, with millions of views accumulating within hours of its posting. The implications were absolutely staggering. If If this was indeed Tupac, and if Suge Knight's own son was involved in revealing his survival, what did that say about who knew what about the events of September 1996? The figure in the video appears to be older, with the kind of age-appropriate changes you'd expect to see in someone who was in their mid-20s in 1996 and would now be approaching 50 years old. The facial features, the mannerisms, the way he moves to the music, all of it seemed designed to suggest that this was the real deal, the genuine article, proof that Tupac Shakur had indeed survived and had been living in secret all these years. However, the story took a complicated turn when Suge Knight Jr. later admitted that the video was essentially a publicity stunt, created to generate attention and conversation rather than to present actual evidence of Tupac's survival. This admission should have, by all logical reasoning, put an end to the speculation surrounding this particular piece of footage. But in the world of conspiracy theories, such admissions are often viewed with major suspicion. Could the retraction itself be part of a larger cover-up? Could Suge Knight Jr. have been pressured to walk back his revelation? Or was he telling the truth about it being a stunt, but using techniques and information that made it convincing precisely because he had inside knowledge of what an alive Tupac might actually look like? While Suge Jr.'s video sparked debates about authenticity, the next sighting suggests Pac might have been living out his activist dreams on the other side of the world. The Somalia humanitarian work footage, 2018. Perhaps the most emotionally compelling and philosophically consistent of all the alleged Tupac sightings, brings us to Mogadishu, Somalia in 2018. This particular piece of footage stands apart from many of the others because, if authentic, it would represent Tupac engaging in exactly the kind of humanitarian and activist work that defined so much of his public persona during his lifetime. The video, which appears to be amateur footage captured during some kind of news report or documentary about humanitarian efforts in a Somali refugee displacement camp, shows aid workers distributing supplies and assistance to people in desperate need. But it's one particular aid worker who has captured the attention of conspiracy theorists and devoted fans who desperately want to believe that Tupac not only survived, but continued to live according to the principles of social justice and community service that he championed in his music. The cat in question, working among the displaced people and helping to distribute aid, bears what believers claim is an unmistakable resemblance to an older Tupac Shakur. But what makes this sighting particularly intriguing to those who have studied it extensively is a small but significant detail. During moments when the man's sleeves are rolled up, viewers can see what appear to be tattoos on his arms, and believers insist that these tattoos match the distinctive body art that Tupac was famous for during his lifetime. The Somalia connection resonates deeply with those familiar with Tupac's life and philosophy. Throughout his career, Tupac was outspoken about issues of poverty, inequality, and social justice. He frequently discussed his desire to give back to communities in need and to use his platform and resources to make a real difference in the lives of marginalized people around the world. His mother, Afeni Shakur, was a former Black Panther with a strong commitment to community activism and social change, values that she clearly passed on to her son. The theory that Tupac might have chosen to dedicate his second life to humanitarian work in some of the world's most challenging environments is actually quite consistent with everything we know about his character, his beliefs, and his stated goals for how he wanted to impact the world. From the war-torn streets of Africa, we come full circle to the most recent and perhaps most controversial sighting of them all, the recent viral park video, 2024. Our final piece of alleged footage brings us nearly to the present day, with a video that emerged in 2024, a staggering 28 years after Tupac's official death, and coinciding with renewed public interest in the case due to recent developments in the investigation of his murder. This low-resolution video, which exploded across social media platforms and generated millions of views, reactions, and shares, supposedly shows an older, bearded man in a park somewhere in the United States engaged in the simple, peaceful act of feeding birds. The setting is deliberately ambiguous, with no clearly identifiable landmarks that would allow viewers to pinpoint exactly where the footage was captured. This lack of specific location information has only added to the mystique and speculation surrounding the video. The cat in the footage appears to be in his early to mid-50s, which is precisely the age Tupac would be if he had survived past 1996. He's wearing casual clothing, has grown a full beard, something that would significantly alter his appearance from his clean-shaven look during his rap career. And seems to be enjoying a quiet moment of solitude in nature. What has made this particular video so controversial and heavily discussed is the man's behavior when he becomes aware of being filmed. At a certain point in the footage, he glances toward the camera with what believers describe as a look of recognition and wariness, as if he'd been caught doing something he shouldn't be doing, or rather, being someone he ain't supposed to be anymore. The way he handles this moment, not fleeing in panic, but not engaging directly either, just a knowing look and a slight change in body language, is exactly how conspiracy theorists imagine Tupac might react if he was indeed alive and had been spotted by someone with a camera. The timing of this video's emergence is particularly significant, no cap. In 2024, there were renewed efforts to solve Tupac's murder case, with new leads being investigated and old evidence being re-examined with modern forensic techniques. The arrest of Dwayne Keefe D. Davis in connection with the shooting brought the case back into the national spotlight after decades of it being relegated to the cold case files. Believers in this footage argue that its appearance at this specific moment is not coincidental. Perhaps Tupac, if alive, felt compelled to make some kind of subtle appearance as the world once again focused attention on the night that supposedly claimed his life. Thanks for watching. Check out other cards on the screen.